Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News.
Step into the sand.
This is Macabre Grimoire with Ari Show, Travis Nye, and Robert Mehling.
There was another display of Aurora last night, so brilliant that at 1 o'clock a.m., ordinary print could be read by the light. The effect continued through this forenoon, considerably affecting the work of telegraph lines. The Aurora's currents were so regular from east to west that operators on eastern lines were able to hold communications transit messages over the line between this city, Boston, and Portland. The batteries being discontinued, the batteries being disconnected from the wire. The New York Times, September 3rd, 1859.
Hey everybody, welcome to Macabre Grimoire. I'm Ari Show here with Robert Mehling and Travis Nye.
I feel like you might have never met us before. You said Mehling with a question mark.
I know, it's like I have this like piece of paper in front of me and I'm just like, ugh, so nervous. We're talking about the Carrington Event. That was a quote from the New York Times, like Rob said, in 1859, and basically, it's, I don't know. I mean, I know what it is, but how do we, I mean...
When solar storms attack.
Yeah, when solar storms, dun, dun, dun.
Up next on Fox.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it was this massive, like, solar storm that really affected everybody, like, I don't know how many years ago. I don't do math. How long ago? So we'll just say super long ago, and we'll just agree it was super long ago, right?
Back in, like, olden times.
Yeah, back in the olden days. That's a phrase that you always say, like, when you're kids.
Yeah.
And you mean, like, literally, like, 5 years ago.
Yeah, you're talking about the 90s.
Yeah, it's not even that long ago. So, I did a bunch of, like, reading about different, like, accounts on people outside of just, I don't know, just, like, different sources and stuff like that. You have, like, this nice write-up. But, how did you want to...
I can dive in, and you guys can chime in when you want to.
Sure.
But I'll just give people a brief idea of what it is. So the Carrington Event, also known as the Solar Storm of 1859, was a powerful geomagnetic solar storm that where the sun ejected a giant coronal mass ejection, and it hit the Earth's magnetosphere. And the effect of this, basically, the magnetosphere is basically like an invisible force field that our magnetic poles and our, nickel iron core as a planet produces that protects us from, like, cosmic rays and radiation and a whole lot of different stuff. Well, it can only protect against so much, and sometimes these solar storms that we get hit directly, we're far enough away that radiation is not like a huge issue. It's not like a gamma ray burst. We're just going to nuke us all. But what happens in these particular cases where it's, like, super powerful is that we're just far enough away that we don't get the radiation, but our ionosphere gets pinged really powerfully with lots of electromagnetic interference. And the practical effect of this is that basically like an EMP or an electromagnetic pulse, where it's it can, anything that conducts electricity is going to pick up on some of these currents. As we described there in the quote from the New York Times back in the 1850s, back then when this major storm hit, because the Carrington one is one of the, like, largest recorded ones, it telegraph lines were especially vulnerable to it, so they would pick up the current, and there was just so much electricity in the atmosphere that the lines were picking up that literally they could send telegrams across the country. And not use you normally have to hook up a battery.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like no battery needed because it's just this giant metal cord, so it's just picking up all this it's Tesla's dream, all this electricity raining down from the sky and powering everything until it blows stuff up.
Right. So I saw that, like, basically if they had their batteries connected, there was, like, a lightning bolt that, like, jutted out of, like, one, like, phone operator's forehead and, like, arced into, like, the floor or whatever. Like, it was insane. So they're just like, oh, let's just unplug this stuff for a little while. Let this kind of chill out.
Yeah, power surges really bad. Yeah. With the old-timey batteries and stuff, and they didn't, they kind of knew what was going on, because Richard C. Carrington is the British astronomer who first spotted it, because it was facing towards England when it first, or the Earth was when it first started. So that's why it's named the Carrington Event, is that he was the first one that that spotted it, he actually, because he had a special sun telescope, and he diagrammed out the sunspots and where the coronal mass was and stuff like that. So we know, surprisingly, for the time, a lot about the incident. Travis, you look like you're saying something.
No, I keep hearing something. I'm trying
A
to...
squeaker? Like a squeak? Is that you?
Maybe it's me. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm not hearing it.
All right.
Nice little side tangent.
I'm just so used to it.
All right.
It's just the mice in the walls. Just you're
Fair
fine.
enough.
Oh man, I got a good mouse story later. Okay, keep going.
All right, that was a little tangent, but okay.
So, here's the reason I want to talk about this event, because I mean it's just a quirky footnote in history, except for the fact that, you know, that's the 1800s. Telegraph lines are like the only technology around.
Right.
There's a whole lot of doomsaying out there about if an event like this were to hit today.
I would kind of like it, honestly. What about you?
Would you? I don't want to die and have like.
You think you would die? Like, do you think? I think our. Do you think our stuff is grounded enough though that it wouldn't completely be fried? I think that maybe we would just not be able to use our devices.
Well, what it would do specifically is that it would blow transformers.
Yeah.
Especially all over like the Northeast United States if it hit right.
Right.
And so it would cause like a major blackout. And transformers are expensive and complex to build. Mm-hmm. So, like the document I sent you guys from Lloyd's, where they did like a very in-depth analysis about past power failures similar to the Carrington event itself, and then like the cost of it, because it's an insurance company trying to like plan for it. And they said that they figured that if any number of even a slightly significant number of transformers were damaged, the power outage could be like 5 months.
Yeah.
So no power for 5 months. So now you're like, well, we could do without, because you just couldn't use your cell phones.
But it's not. It's more than that. Like there'd be no lights. There'd be no.
I'd have a little bit of lag when I play Fortnite.
Just a bit.
Like a 5-month lag.
A 5-month lag.
You just write down, step forward, shoot to the left, and then just put it in an envelope.
It's going to become like the old like typewriter, but DOS versions of games.
Yes.
It would be so interesting. Okay, I don't want it to happen. It's probably going to happen, but it would be interesting to see how we all adapt and like try to like continue with. I mean, the majority of what I do is electronic based, and I think you as well. So there's like no way I could that I would even have a job. I mean, we would have to figure out different jobs. I mean, how would money work? How would society operate? I mean, part of it would be as far as like communication and stuff. It's like, okay, well, you still have mail. Like you can still communicate through letters because the posters.
Can you?
You could. Why couldn't you?
I wouldn't be able to find an address without an electronic routing.
Yeah, about that.
What?
Because who delivers your mail?
Well, the post office.
Could you drive
trucks with gasoline?
Yeah, but
from gas pumps that need electricity.
Oh, I see what you're
from
saying.
Vehicles that have electric starters.
If I gave you a handwritten letter and said I need you to deliver this to Boise, Idaho, could you get it there? Could you get it there?
I would have. Yeah, I would do it. It would be several days, but I would do it.
So,
I just think it'd be very interesting.
I'd be super terrified, just because, I mean, basically anybody on dialysis or anything medical is super dead.
Oh, yeah, everybody's super screwed in that aspect, yes.
Oh, so weeding out the weak points. I mean, we're going to be strong when we come out of
cool,
this.
Travis. That is so not cool.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, I can't believe you went there.
Let's keep the eugenics to a minimum.
All right.
Yeah, Jesus.
Sorry.
But no, and then, I mean, to get into the weak and the strong, it's like, unless you've got some gigantic food stores or like giant plot of land with a bunch of arable soil and food, like human food that I don't know about, we're all like 3 days away. So it's like, it'd be the people in the hospitals and stuff would be the ones in trouble first, but after about a week, we'd all be pretty screwed too.
Right. Because, like, your like plumbing systems, your fresh water filters and all that stuff. I mean,
your water is all delivered by electrical pumps that pump water up into the water tower, and then that's what creates your.
I think maybe smaller towns probably might be fine because maybe some of them aren't all converted to electrical or whatever.
What?
Don't you think so? Like some super small towns that haven't like.
I suppose
been
if you have like a
modernized?
well pump on your land.
Yeah, like if you have a well pump.
What powers the pump?
I have a manual. I used to have a
hand.
manual hand pump.
Oh, you're talking about like a. Okay, I don't think there's any towns that would have a water system like that.
Come
Maybe
get
like
your water today.
But you know, I could imagine a few farms that still have that. But I know farmers and stuff like that, and just like
Right.
even a lot of the farms anymore, they have old wells they could bring back online.
Right.
But a lot of them are pumping in a lot of their water through like Mid Dakota Pipeline or Lewis and Clark Pipeline or stuff like that.
Right. Apparently, I don't know a lot about how towns work.
You should play SimCity. It really
I
ironed
do
it out
play
for me.
SimCity.
I mean, we'd be really, really screwed. Like,
Well, yes.
Fortunately, just so you guys know, you might be in with me, but you need to be nice because I do have a pretty healthy food storage in my basement for like a 2-year storage.
but how long can we live on donuts?
Well, it's not all donuts. It's
okay.
sugar. I mean, there's yeast. There's
There you go.
Oh, I see what you're
sprinkles.
saying.
No, I do actually have good food storage.
Nice.
Plus, there's always like my whole family's like heavy on like survival stuff in case.
What?
Yeah, I know. So one of the best places to get a water supply if something were to happen is actually your hot water heater because there's about
Yes.
50 gallons just hanging out.
Yep.
Yes, I read that in a book. I don't remember the title of the book, but basically they had an atomic bomb went off in California, and they had to figure out how to survive, and that was one of the things that they did to survive
Yeah.
was a hot water heater. And the main character in the book was really bummed out that the water was really hot and not cold and refreshing because, hot water heater. But yeah, so
Yep.
I forgot. I read that in grade school. Not even kidding. Like something like a tragic event.
Human beings seem to have because I remember reading different apocalyptic things.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Like a plague out, like something from my weekly reader that had like a plague outbreak in London or something like that. That was just some throwaway teeny bopper
Yeah,
novel
yeah.
about it. And just but humans have been telling that same story over and over and over
Yeah.
for thousands of years.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing, though, that I think they get wrong, I mean, we could do a whole episode about apocalyptic scenarios and stuff like that, and post-apocalyptic dystopias and stuff, but, like, Cracked does a really good job of, like, analyzing and stuff. Just, like, they looked at societies where it's, like, that have, quote-unquote, broke down, and they're like, actually, no, like, the Mad Max thing doesn't happen because people aren't, believe it or not, people aren't monsters.
Right.
What happens is your familial ties and your neighborhood and stuff like that kick in. So, like, the examples they used were, like, Venezuela and Egypt during that revolution where they had for, like, 3 years where there was just a total breakdown of law and order. It's like each neighborhood kind of, like, cordoned off its boundaries, and it was just the local men from the neighborhood with rifles were, like, guarding it, and they were kind of like the night watch and stuff like that
Gotcha.
for that neighborhood. And it's like people still organized and started,
Right.
it's like that's what human beings do. It's just,
Right.
it would break down to a much smaller or local, smaller level.
Right. Yes.
But the electricity thing in North America, I mean, it'd be bad because that's the thing I've always heard about, like the transformer shortage and stuff, where it'd be like there are people I've heard say it'd be like 2 years to get all the power back.
Jesus, yeah. And like I did see like the financials on that too. That just we're talking like billions and trillions of dollars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So getting into like an example of a past very similar scenario where a much smaller event in 2003 hit the United States. This is an example that the Lloyd's article used to talk about the effects of it. So in August 14th of 2003, the electricity went out in a large swath of the northeastern United States and southeastern Canada. The blackout affected the states of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Vermont, Ohio, and Massachusetts. About 50 million people were without electricity. What's funny is I was camping when this happened, and we were all sitting around in a camper, but it was like a really nice electrical camper with kickouts and TVs and stuff like that, and I was just like, and we were all just sitting there like eating our like Indian tacos or whatever crazy camping food we'd made, watching on the TV as like people were walking home across the Brooklyn Bridge because, it was total gridlock and nobody could get out of Manhattan and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So how crazy would it have been though, like if you were in that scenario and like just camping around no electricity?
Yeah.
The Carrington event happened, you go back home and like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like just come back to nothing.
Yeah, and I need a button that just says this line for me. We could do a whole episode about people that get out of the loop on like time and stuff. Like it was much more common, back in the day.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
But I remember like one like mountain man or person in Alaska that only comes down once every 10 years or something like that. I remember in 2009 when he came down for supplies and found out about like 9/11 and stuff like that.
Oh,
And,
Jesus.
and then like one that we will do an episode on down the road is the some of the Japanese veterans that were on islands that didn't know and didn't believe that Japan had surrendered. And so they kept fighting World War II through like the 60s and would like take some poor local villager hostage or kill him or something like that and get supplies and stuff. And so yeah, you had this handful of Japanese scattered on these little islands in the Pacific, cut off from all info, that would fight and kill for
World
Japan
War II,
from
yeah.
World War II. But it's like the 60s, and even I think the last one was like in the 70s. And
They're got to be almost
What
dead
was
or dead by
Not
now.
a tourist
What
spot
was-
for sure.
what was messed up about it, though, was I know at least one of them where the Japanese government even brought in so it was like his commanding officer
Yeah.
or like the next one in line, because obviously his commanding officer was with him when he died.
Yeah.
But it was like people he would know from the military being like, you need to come out, we've surrendered, blah, blah, blah. They brought out like his family, like his son who was now fully grown and stuff like that, came out, and the speaker out in the jungle, like looking for him. And he just figured it's like, no, they're prisoners of the Americans now, and they've been brainwashed.
You went totally
and,
nuts.
Wow, that's like
Jeez.
Rambo status.
yeah,
Wow.
it was basically like First Blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I said, we could do a whole episode about that guy alone. But
Jesus.
I'm gonna have a sounder for you from now on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come next episode with a sounder. Next chapter, sorry. Every time you say we could have a whole episode.
absolutely. So let's see.
I think the one thing that I like most about talking about the Carrington event is how many people never knew these things existed, like these
Yeah.
solar flares, and now that social media is so present, people like freak out about them. It's like, dude, these have been happening forever.
Yeah, but then you get like a whole pack of people that think it can't happen.
Yeah.
Because they think all science is
Really?
just
Because
BS.
I feel like, well, yeah, there is that.
There's a lot of people
element
that,
to it.
yeah.
It's just like the thing with the internet in this era is that it takes ideas that are attractive, whether they're good ideas or bad ideas, and whole communities build up around it.
Yes.
There's no societal pressure to like
that's dumb. That's not right.
It sucks that it's like on the one hand it really liberated and helped a lot of different groups
Oh, yeah.
that were really oppressed or repressed or looked down upon, while at the same time it also lets the wackos come out of the woodwork that
God.
take it too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no voice of reason amongst them because they're all wackos.
Yeah, there's no appealing to authority anymore because
Uh-uh.
everybody's on an equal footing as far as data
Yeah.
or information.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, but not.
Yeah, and it's like a terrifying Black Mirror dystopia kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But here's Lloyd's quote here on the risk of a solar storm for a future Carrington event. The total U.S. population at risk of an extended power outage from a Carrington-level storm is between 20 to 40 million. The durations, with durations of 16 days to 1 to 2 years. The duration of the outages will largely depend on the availability of spare replacement transformers. If new transformers need to be ordered, the lead time will likely be a minimum of 5 months. The total economic cost for such a scenario is estimated at between 0.6 and 2.6 trillion US dollars.
I have a problem with that number. I think they should have said between $6 billion to $2.6 trillion.
No, a billion is too low.
But 0.6 is billion.
So that'd be 600 billion.
Yeah. So say it. So then they should just say.
You don't do
So-
math.
So they just wanted to stick with the
I get it.
trillions.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have even said anything. I think my favorite part of this, not my favorite. I'm really morbid about this whole thing. I think it's going to be exciting. I really do. just because it'd just be so interesting. But
You're like the people who are like when the Purge was implemented in the Purge universe, we're just like, all right.
let it burn. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But I guess the one event was the one that happened in 2012. Like it was a Carrington level event that was going to hit Earth, except it missed us by like I think it was like 7 days or 9 days, or I guess that's like what a measurement of like I don't know.
Parsec.
Distance from Earth or whatever. So I thought that was really fascinating that we were that close to having a Carrington level event in 2012, but it never even hit us. So I think that just furthers the myth about it, like that we don't even think that this could happen because 1859, like who knows anybody who lived in 1859? Like they can't tell us, like how are we gonna know for sure? We're basically their great grandkids, and we're reading their stories and we're thinking, that's bullshit. They're crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. Like people are so dumb in 1859, and then but scientists are like, no, you guys, this can legit happen, and we're like, it's bullshit, But then it could have happened in 2012. But now it's like back on like a different cycle. I guess what is it they think like every 150 years is like when like a big event can happen? Is that kind of how they like forecasted it?
It's geologic kind of stuff, which means that I had a geology professor one time was like whenever they're predicting like earthquakes or volcano eruptions or something like that, he's always like they always give an estimate, and he's like when it's geology, always add plus or minus 1 million years.
Oh, geez.
So when they didn't say that in this report,
right.
But when they're saying that one of these events can happen around once every 150 years or so,
right,
or 100 years, some of them were saying, it's just like my geology professor's just would have been like, yeah, but because we're looking at like the history of the solar system,
right.
There's like huge variation in that every 100 years kind of thing. And it's just like one little decimal point of variation that seems, minuscule in the geologic terms could be like the entire history of Western civilization is this little point,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I just thought that was like super fascinating that because it missed us so bad, people probably, they're like, it's never going to happen. Like, or it didn't happen. You know what I mean? It's like nobody's going to take it as seriously as they should.
And in my research, I did find at least one YouTuber who is super convinced that of the Carrington lie, that the Carrington event is not really a thing that happened. And he had this dictionary from the 1860s that didn't mention the solar storm. And so that was his like primary source that it's like, well, they didn't mention it. So it's like, so clearly it's just a thing that they've made up recently to try and prepare people for the EMPs or something like that.
I literally had an encyclopedia that was written in like the 1960s. And according to my encyclopedia, JFK was still alive, and so was Martin Luther King Jr. So it was like, I had a really hard time doing book reports. but like, if I lived my life according to that particular one, then my whole world would be rocked,
That's true.
So, I mean, if he's just going off of something published in, 1860, well, it happened in 1859, Publishing took a lot longer,
his logic is really, really dumb as far as...
So dumb.
And then I was just like, well, maybe there aren't that many primary sources. But no, in about 2 seconds, it's like, oh, here's the, like, actual clipping from the New York Times.
Right.
From, like, the day it happened and reports all over the country. And it's not like it's just the U.S., and it's not like... a conspiracy theory would have to involve the U.S. and England, who didn't like each other at the time. So the idea that they were both, like, in cahoots is like, yeah.
Yeah.
Was this printed on April 1st?
No.
Okay, so we're good. It's got to be real then.
Good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Good question. That's something we should always cover in this show is like, did this thing get released on April 1st? Oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch!
All right,
whole
so
week
that closes
researching
this chapter. We're going to have to do some more research.
Yeah, really. Oh, my God.
And this has been 5 Minute Macabre Grimoire.
That'd be hilarious if we got trolled about a story and, like, as we're, like, talking about it, we realize, like, it's a huge hoax. We're like, fuck.
And at the end, gotcha.
I figure that will happen eventually,
so?
like in the researching and stuff.
I hope so.
It might be we pull the... no, if I hit that, I don't think I'd pull the topic. I'd want to tell the story about
Yeah.
That's clickbait,
why I
man.
thought it was real.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
Yeah.
God damn it, that'd be amazing. Never mind. It's a different topic.
So,
Continuing. Let's continue
yeah.
on.
So solar storms. What do you guys think? I mean, you see, Ari, you seem to be of the opinion that, that it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Well, I know it would be a really huge deal, but I just want to see like how
But not
society...
for me. It wouldn't be a big deal for me.
Well, I don't know. I know I would suffer. I would absolutely suffer because I really love air conditioning, and if it happened during the summer, I'd be so pissed. But like wintertime, I'd be like, well, I think I can handle it. Anyways, but you seem genuinely concerned about me when I'm all like, it won't be that bad, and you're just like, honey, no, like it's gonna be so bad. People are going to die, and I'm just like, yeah, but like how bad?
Well, I think it's interesting because I had a coworker that I was talking about this topic with, and he was very like, no, we almost had one in 2012. He's actually the one that put me onto the Lloyd's science paper.
Good for him.
And, he's just like, no, they had the near miss in 2012, and it did direct hit this one geo satellite or whatever in orbit, and it had like 9 like bugs or errors in it for a little bit, but then it bounced back and was okay.
Yeah.
And so his argument is that if the Carrington event did happen, or a solar storm of that size, that it'd be kind of like, oh, there was a power outage for like 4 hours in New York today or something. It'd be a very like...
A brownout.
Yeah, it'd be more like brownouts.
Yeah. I wonder if it... Yeah, because I've heard of those.
And I suppose that's probably just as likely, if not more likely, that it'll be like... If it does happen, it'll be more like a mild inconvenience or like a isolated regional thing. And the Lloyd's paper really got into some fascinating stuff about like the different soils in North America, like how conductive they are, and how that affects a solar storm, how it like impacts the ionosphere and how it impacts what's happening on the ground. And talked about the Northeast is particularly vulnerable because of its soil, combined with the fact that it's coastal.
Sure.
And so it's like between those two factors, there's a lot of conductivity
right.
there. Plus, it has the oldest transformers in North America, and that's why they think it's the most vulnerable region.
So let me talk about transformers for a second, because in this paper...
Not that transformer.
Robots on the skulls.
That was a good impression, Travis. So they're talking about how transformers would need a lead time order of a minimum of 5 months. But if the majority of the public is employed via electronics, but basically we do all of our business, electronically now. So basically we're unemployed. We are now employable people who could be working on the transformers and therefore maybe speed up production time. Wouldn't you imagine?
It would work the exact opposite.
So, you can't just, Do
you know how to build a transformer?
Well, no, you could train me to build a transformer.
That would take about 5 months.
How am I going to train you?
With your papers. You have manuals. People... Okay, so you have been building transformers for 20-some years. You bring in a class of people. You train them. You kind of, rough test them to weed out the idiots. And then you put those people to work. That's how I kind of imagine this would, I live in a utopia, so I guess
wartime munitions production scenario.
Why not? Why couldn't some people be employable to start building new transformers?
I'm sure they'd bring some people on. They'd hire some extra people.
They would have to.
I wonder if they're hiring today.
I just like your civilian conservation corps model where it's just like they're just going to take all of us programmers and everyone out of the office buildings are going to empty out and we're all going to be in the streets turning our cars into transformers and stuff like that.
Why not? I think that would be an excellent solution. In fact, we should all start training now on how to build transformers. I'm gonna go to school. I will learn how to build transformers.
She's gonna save the human race.
Save the human race.
I'm excited. This needs to be a comic book.
I'm just preparing.
I'm trying to think
the world.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what percentage of people actually just know how to build a transformer.
Well, the people who build transformers, first of all, let's start there. Their bosses probably.
Okay.
And people maybe who are around them, like spouses and kids or whatever, because they hear about how transformers are potentially built. Because you come home, you bitch about your job, right? And you're just like, so and so put the thing in the thing, and it didn't work, and now
That couldn't be hard. I could do that. Well, we're gonna hire you when this happens.
Because, like, I have a rough idea, you know, like, you probably have a rough idea about what your parents did for a living and maybe a little bit on like, how to do some of the things of their job. I mean, a really, like, light idea.
I'm
not
on
like
my
actually...
laptop, like, every day of my life, and I couldn't make one. I know a lot about them, but I couldn't make one.
You can, like, just figure it out?
No.
Oh. That's how I live most of my life, is figuring stuff out.
It's not just, like, figuring out how to make the transformer. You need, like, a journeyman machinist to, like, create the metal, and then the rare earth, you know, materials have to be shipped in from wherever those get shipped.
Are you hypothesizing, or do you absolutely know? I'm just curious.
I do know transformers
Yeah?
contain rare earth metals.
Okay, let's start there, yep.
I do know
Crazy
that-
magnets and...
Yep. I do know that it would require a lot of metal machining. And heavy industrial fabricating and stuff like that.
Right.
Which are not things you can just set someone down in front of a keyboard and a machine and have them pump out. That's like, you know, there's as much art as there is.
Oh, I believe it. I totally believe it.
To metal work.
I'm still optimistic that I think we could work out something.
Oh, I think we'd work it out. I just think that I'm with Lloyd's that it would just like it would be pretty catastrophic, and you'd have like, trillions in damage, and I don't see a Carrington event ending civilization. You know what I mean?
No.
Not by a long shot.
No, definitely not.
It just would suck, and it would kill a lot of people.
It would kill a lot of people. I shouldn't laugh when I say that. It would kill a lot of people.
See, now that was more like demented, like...
No, it wasn't.
I'm going to kill all the children.
But I think I don't know. I'm hopelessly optimistic about a lot of things. So if that's...
No, I like the optimism.
Yeah.
I just
I think it would be more efficient if each person just made their own solar power or wind energy than trying to actually group together to build a transformer.
I totally think so too.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that down the road, as our, you know, if our power grid were to become more decentralized, it would be much less vulnerable to this.
Right. So one of the things I'm wondering though, okay, so like electrical grids and everything, when the Carrington event happened, like the quality of wire, essentially, that was probably like just a thick gauge copper wire.
Most likely.
So I wonder, like, I don't really know anything about wire, like as far as details and currents and all that stuff. How much wattage or voltage went through those cables compared to the wiring we have now? Would the thicker wire hold up better, which I assume it would, but would the amount of wire also compensate for that and kind of dispensate the amount of power going through so that way it doesn't affect it as much?
You have to think about like the metal and like how much like the metal conductivity and stuff like that, and how much wattage it can handle.
Because a telegraph wire, like back in the old days, would be a thick damn copper wire.
Yeah.
More than it needed to be, because back then copper wasn't quite as expensive and rare as it is now. And yeah, and that seems to be bigger things are more vulnerable. So that's why in the Northeast there's lots of transmission lines.
Yeah.
Between transformers and substations and stuff like that, and the actual sources of electricity. And so those large lines seem to be what would pick up. Okay, Trav, what are you laughing about? What did I do?
I'm trying to hold it in, but this was pre-recording when you were talking about the Jay and Silent Bob thing when he put the thumb on the forehead and had the demon voice. When your throat had that bubble in it, that's what I heard. And I feel like you just went like demonic on telling me about these transformers and the cables.
So in order to get to the transformers...
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Inside joke time. Oh, man.
All right, I'm glad I got that out because...
Yeah, you're fine.
I was in and out of trying not to crack up laughing on the mic, but...
You're better now?
Whole side tangent, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
I'm good.
I'm just like, I feel like we need to print up some Volunteer for the Transformer Corps t-shirts.
Yes!
Just have a picture of like a cartoon transformer with a smiley face.
Yeah.
Right? Make it all look all Fallout-ish.
Yeah.
Fallout-inspired, not violating their intellectual property.
Right, exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the grunge effect will be totally different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mirrored and reversed.
Yep.
Stop giving away my secret.
Well, it's funny because at the very beginning, when you read that little opening quote talking about how the sun like ejected these flares and all this other stuff and the atmosphere couldn't protect us, it started sounding like a job for Space Force, honestly. Like they should
God,
be
don't
protecting us
even.
from this.
That's not it. That wouldn't even be their job.
You don't know. You
What
don't
are they
know.
gonna do? Just like go out in space and like
They're
hover
gonna-
out with like
they're gonna
big
shoot-
metal shields?
Yeah. have
No,
you
they're going to shoot the sun.
Oh,
And they'll just keep shooting at it
God.
until it stops.
yeah.
Yes,
Until it gets freedom.
right.
It's going to be a combination of that big dome from the Simpsons movie and like Roman soldiers with the big shields. They're all going to be floating out there with jetpacks, creating one big aluminum shield.
Which isn't going to work
Yes.
great because they don't actually have oxygen masks because they're dressed like Roman soldiers. So
Yeah.
it'll be a whole bunch of dead bodies floating independently with little rocket
Could you
packs.
But
imagine
think how
being an
dope-
alien like coming into on that bullshit? Just be like, the fuck are these people
Yeah.
about?
But just think how dope the cape is going to look, though, with no gravity. Like, it's going to be floating so majestically.
Well,
Maybe-
yeah, kind of, because like there's a whole thing with the flag that they put on the moon and like why it waves and why it's got the wire in it to like hold it up and stuff like that. Capes behave very strangely in a vacuum. But anyway,
Fabric would be.
yep.
Yeah.
We're not. That's not what we're here. That's not what we're here to talk about. What are we talking about?
We're going to
Space
talk about
Force. No,
survival
flares.
supplies. Should we talk about survival supplies that they suggest, or?
Sure.
All right.
So here are some survival tips from FEMA and the internet on things that you should have on hand for any kind of emergency, but especially like a Carrington Event type emergency. So flashlights, which are called torches by our friends over in the UK, which bothers me
Hilarious.
to no end.
I know.
Because I'll be reading a book and they'll be like, they brought the torches closer, and I'm just like, these people not have goddamn flashlights? Oh, that's right. Get the torch batteries. Why does your torch need a battery? Oh.
Yes, I've had moments like that also. I totally get it.
A good supply of fresh batteries. Candles, long burning ones in glass. Lighters or matches. Propane or kerosene lanterns with fuel. Fuel for your generator if you have one.
Got one.
I was going to say, the list didn't have generator, but it has fuel for a generator. So step 9 is going to be like, because we're going to go take the generator.
Steal your
Jesus,
neighbor's
this list just
generator.
got dark fast.
Okay, so when we had that ice storm back in 2012 or 2013, our entire, the entire city of Sioux Falls was affected pretty badly. Well, our area, we were without power for like 5 days. And there was some asshole, and I have no problem saying this, there was some asshole in our neighborhood who had a generator and was clearly powering his house via the generator. This son of a bitch had his fucking Christmas lights on via the
South
generator.
Dakota.
It was the most infuriating thing. It was like, why are you powering your Christmas lights? First of all, it is April. Like, you do not need your Christmas lights on in April.
On behalf of the baby Jesus, fuck you.
Jesus
And
Christ.
those who are listening who aren't from here, yes, we had an ice storm in April.
We typically get like a really bad like storm in April, and this one was like just a massive ice storm. It knocked out tons of trees and power lines, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, this neighbor of mine was like running his fucking Christmas lights through his goddamn generator all day and all night.
So is this a story about how you got your generator by eating that neighbor?
Oh my god, yes. So it was like the purge. I'm kidding. That motivated us to get our own generator. Of course, we got it after we got our power back,
Right.
just in case. But we've actually used it on sets and stuff since then. But,
Oh, nice.
yeah, so it's actually come in handy. But god damn it, that guy, I wanted to he's moved out since, but I just wanted to be like, the fuck, man? Like, why do you need your Christmas lights on? It would
Because he can. America.
yeah, right. It would make sense if he was using it in his house for lighting. I don't know, not as obtrusive lighting, but outside for decorative purposes.
Yeah.
What are you trying to prove here?
Well, it kind of, during that same ice storm, I was actually at a Grand Falls Casino. That's where I was working. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of in the maintenance department. And it was always interesting driving there because Rowena, that little town in between
Oh, yeah,
here
yeah.
and
My parents
Larchwood,
live next to it.
they didn't have power for 3 weeks. It was out for that long, but the casino is actually ran by a generator that they have, and it went through about 600. I think it was like 600 gallons of diesel every 3 days.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was like a 300-gallon tank, and they had to come fill it about every other day, day and a half, something like that.
Yep.
But at least they opened it up for people, and I'm like, you understand, like, if you shut down half the casino, how much juice you guys would be saving?
Yeah, really.
But, like, the pool was open, the hot tub, like,
hell yeah.
Might as well.
hundreds
go all out.
of slot
Okay, so I know where I'm going in the apocalypse.
Yeah, no
yeah,
shit,
exactly.
I'm going
Go to the
Grand
casino
Falls.
because actually Grand Falls is run on its own grid. It's a self-sustaining grid. They have their own water purification, their own geothermal.
Yep.
Nice.
If basically the world went to crap, they could still operate fully functional.
Nice. I worked at a place like that.
Yeah.
They could operate fully functional.
Yeah.
And they even had like Chick-fil-A and like Subway and like all these like different like restaurants inside this office building.
Got a McDonald's right in the back.
Oh my god, yeah, that too. I mean, Starbucks. I mean, you were dentist office, doctor's office. I mean, it was yeah, it was intense. So
Nice.
yeah,
So,
generator.
As we mentioned earlier, and then water, keeping at least 5 gallons in a container, like in your garage, or like you guys were talking about the water heater.
Yep.
The thing my family always said was like, fill your bathtubs as soon as the power goes out, because
Yeah.
there'll still be
Oh.
water in the.
They make a huge like water bladder for that fits specifically in a tub that you can fill.
Yep.
From your water heater.
No,
No,
Oh.
just from the
it'll,
lines.
It'll keep
'Cause-
pressure for a
Oh.
while.
For a while you'll have water because it's how it maintains it is it puts it up in a water tower
Yeah.
and then pumps it down. So basically use it while you got it.
First come, first serve. Get it while you can.
Exactly.
Man, I don't know any of this.
That's why we're
Okay,
talking
you
about
literally
it.
wrote on the document, I keep at least 5 gallons in a container in the garage. Is that you or is that FEMA?
That was. Keep in mind, this is a mixed list of FEMA and then other stuff I found on the internet.
So not you?
This is not me.
Oh,
I wouldn't keep water in my garage because my garage is filthy.
I'm like,
So.
that's you delete it. You don't have to delete it. I was just curious. I'm like, wow, you're pretty
No,
like
we're deleting
prepared.
it.
So the next thing is battery powered radio, and we've talked about batteries a couple times. With a solar flare being essentially wireless, would it not affect batteries?
Yeah, and those guys could like
They are not. Hear me out on this.
yeah.
Okay.
Theoretically, they're not big enough to conduct
Okay.
the actual like
Radio waves.
Yeah, the
Okay.
radio to actually create the like in the air current.
Gotcha.
Because that's why the transformer lines are the big threat. Is because those are.
It's like a lightning rod,
Yeah,
essentially.
they're like giant lightning rods.
Gotcha.
So could phone lines work? Not cell phone, actual telephone lines work?
Unclear.
Because
Like
their
land-
telegraph lines, their telegraph lines were working, and they didn't have to battery power them or anything.
Nowadays,
Would landlines
now
work?
landlines pre everyone switching them to digital in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, no.
No, shoot.
And I don't think I could get a hold of anybody I wanted to because nobody has landline.
Yep.
Let's dial
True,
this. Does
that's
this
fair.
work?
My parents still have a landline, but it's
But
yeah,
even their landline at some distribution center that's like between
Yes.
them and the main hub is probably gets converted to digital now.
Yeah.
Because that's the way a lot of them have moved.
Oh no, I totally know that because my husband's grandparents were forced by the phone company to change their type of phone because they were switching to digital, and they flat out refused to buy a phone that was compatible with the phone company. So the phone company gave them a phone, just like for the love of God. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, they're like,
Okay.
you're like, you're not gonna force us to buy a new phone, but they're old, so it's whatever.
So next we've got canned and dry food for enough for several days at least, which, like they say, is the bare minimum. I think a week is like a healthy, normal, like what a human being keeps around. At the point where
Sure.
you've got like 3 months worth of, unless you're in a place with harsh winters, because like my
True.
grandparents
Oh, yeah.
would have had like food stocked up for months and months
Yeah.
in their cellar and stuff like that. And my parents would have like a good food stash, or not stash, but freezers full of stuff from like they'll do a fat calf at a time, so they'll have like a freezer full of beef.
Yep.
Which they're gonna have to eat real quick.
Well, no, if it's in the winter time.
Oh yeah, good call. Good call.
And then they've got several smokehouses and stuff, so they could like smoke and preserve a lot of it.
There's actually a way you can can meat where it produces its own juices, and then it'll last for like 6 to 8 months just on a shelf.
I'd believe that. So let's see.
That way you can hole up at home.
Food for your pets or other animals.
Gotta think about those fur babies.
If you put your candle or lantern in front of a mirror, you almost double the light you get from it. Is it bad that as soon as I saw that, what my brain was thinking, if you put the candle in front of the mirror, that's how you can summon Bloody Mary?
No.
Different episode.
You
Sorry,
know,
folks.
that's funny because when I saw that line, I was like, "Oh, that's exactly what I did when we had the ice storm." Like I had like little mirrors, and I like put the candles on top of the mirrors, and Dominic was like, "Oh my god!" Like, yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, that's how light works, weirdo." Like it's gonna reflect off the surface.
So yeah, that's all I've got on the Carrington event. But I always think this is an interesting one because there's no like sci-fi paranormal to this. This is a thing that happened.
Yeah.
And a thing that can happen again. You know.
So sweet
Do you
dreams.
know, or has there been anything documented about a person physically feeling the effects of a solar flare like that?
Nope. You don't. If you were just a human and didn't have any tech or anything around, the thing you're going to notice is really spectacular aurora borealis all over the Earth. Even like in the equator, like in the tropics, you'll see aurora borealis. And
Even that would be kind of worth it, because I mean, I want to see that.
And then, here comes the dystopia.
30 Days of Night type stuff, and
Yeah. Stuff
I
like
dig
that.
it.
Because like they said that they're in like New York and they can, or I guess it's in the New York Times, but the report was from Boston that they could sit outside at 1 a.m. and read a newspaper.
I
it's
heard
almost like our summers here.
Yeah.
Well, I also read another account too that some of the birds actually woke up, and some guy was like mad about the birds being up, so he shot and killed a couple because he didn't want them chirping because he was trying to sleep or whatever. And the newspaper worded it, but unfortunately, the birds met their demise. It's like, that's kind of a nice way of putting it.
Aww.
Well, they actually cared about the animals. That was kind of
Surprised they didn't name them and just leave out the fact they were birds.
Oh, well, I don't know. It was like I think the birds are warblers like a bird. I think that's what the article said.
Pete Duckington did not make it home.
Yeah.
Who names their kids Pete Duckington?
Ducks do.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
And Howard.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just kind of a cool, not so cool event.
Yeah, we keep being like, so it's cool. We're very laid back. It's like, so the millions dead and trillions of dollars in damage. It's cool. Whatevs?
Yeah, but what does money matter at that point in time? Because it's like you pretty much like you have to spend it. Like
And you're debt free after that, hopefully. So that's cool.
That's my only hope. Is that I'm just like, please just nuke the student loans. If
Yes!
you just take
Oh
out
my
those.
God.
So what is? I'm sure you can't answer this because it's one of those questions that probably nobody can answer. What is the speed of a solar storm? Like, if somebody was physically watching for it at all times, how long of a heads up would we have?
It varies. The fastest it's going to be is we will have like 8 to 10 minutes warning, and that's it.
Okay.
Damn.
Because it takes 8 minutes for daylight to travel from the Earth to the Sun. So that's a really powerful, really fast projection.
Yeah.
They said it can vary anywhere between that and 45 minutes.
Okay. So 8 minutes to unplug all of your stuff so it doesn't get damaged.
Jesus. Like that.
Well, if it's that
wouldn't
fast,
even-
they're not even going to warn you. You know?
No.
Oh, that'd be sad.
Could you imagine like trying to get that warning out? Like you couldn't. Like you literally could not get it out fast.
I don't
enough
know.
to-
What about
it
that?
would literally be all like, "There's a solar storm coming in," and like that would be it. Like you'd be cut off,
Yep.
and then
I don't know, because like phone services are pretty good about warning you about stuff like that. What was
true. Yeah.
what was that missile warning that was fake that people got over their phones not long ago?
Oh, in Hawaii?
Yeah, in Hawaii, like that went
emergency
pretty
broadcast system, but they still had electricity to do it.
right. But
And
I mean,
that
if
has
they
a lot
have
of
that,
redundancies and backups to the emergency broadcast system.
Right.
But if stuff is literally being taken out at the source and like communication wires and
But it hasn't been cut out yet. Like you know it's gonna happen.
Right.
You send out the message and it hasn't
You
been cut
might
off
get
yet.
it.
Right.
So most people might get that message over their cell phones.
right.
And then, but I think the politics and how people are so freaking like it would
Right.
it would get caught up in the politics of it and nobody would get the message because everybody would be like, well, Verizon needs to do it this way. And it's like, fuck you guys. Like, just do it, you know?
I do not have a lot of confidence in the unity in our national unity right now to come together on something like this. So I'm just kind of like,
That's
we could not have any natural disasters or anything for the next like 3 years or so. That'd be really great.
Yeah. My luck, I'd be like, oh yeah, I had a notification. What was that? Oh yeah, power's out.
Your phone wouldn't even work. It'd be like a brick. Well, everybody's stuff would get bricked.
Well, see, I think it would, but I don't know for sure. Because it's kind of like the batteries where it's like...
So small.
It's not a giant receiver of energy from...
Right. True.
So we need to buy a whole bunch of, like, mobile charging devices.
Yeah, but who are you going to communicate with?
Well, you play video games and not go crazy.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, and... I don't know. I wonder... No, because you wouldn't have cell service. Never mind. I was going to say, I wonder if you could put off a Wi-Fi signal off your phone, but... That won't work. America bands together to create a chain of Wi-Fi.
Okay, be totally honest. Like, how often is it like during like a power outage that like you try to like use your device and like go on the internet or something, or do something that requires electricity, and you're like, son of a bitch. Like, because you're just like you just go through your natural motion.
When the power goes out and like my TV kicks out, I'm like, oh, we'll just go to laptop. Like, oh yeah, internet's down.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, still doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. It's like no big deal.
It seems to be 3 days to a week. Somebody gets forcibly unplugged that they start to not miss it and be like, oh my god, I like experienced my real life again and stuff.
Right.
So, but God, I hope nothing comes along and forces us to experience real life, because I really like my air conditioning and all my games on Steam and my podcasts and so
I'm comfortable where I'm at, but I really do want to be put into a survival situation.
I kind of do too.
Too much history. I've read too much history.
I got your back, okay?
Enjoy that shit.
I got your back.
Oh, I can get my back. Don't let my being like a realist and being like, no, it's not going to be pretty, no, it is going to be terrifying, make you think that I wouldn't know what I was doing or wouldn't
have like
some ideas about what I'd be doing, but I know enough to be shitlessly terrified of it. Let's put it that way.
That's actually a really scary thing to hear, truthfully.
There's a really cool TV show I used to watch where it basically took a group of people and put them in a warehouse in like downtown LA.
The Colony?
Yeah, that
was a great show. I loved that.
One of the things that I learned from there that blew my mind that I could probably never recreate is when they purified water off
Me too.
batteries.
I've always wanted to do that.
I'm like, what was that called? Like, I can't remember.
Well, it was batteries, and then it was
they basically put
charcoal.
They put an electrical charge through the water, and it filtered the water.
So, it was like ionizing or...
something.
That's amazing.
Electrolysis, it was something ion something.
Yeah,
it was water so that it kills all the microbes and stuff like that.
Cool.
And then they filtered it through like a gigantic thing of
activated charcoal,
and then other stuff, and then more charcoal, so that by the time it gets to the bottom, it's just purified water.
That was
and they made
amazing...
it out of just drums they found in that warehouse.
Oh,
and stuff like
cool.
that.
It was an amazing show.
Really amazing show.
They paired up like scientists to like just like survival people to like professors to like just to come together, and like they basically put them in a scenario and they do like a whole psychological explanation of how like it takes so many days for them to be in the scenario to actually feel like they're living it, and like all these things. So people in it have been in it for so long they feel like it has become that life.
Wow.
And they kind of gave it was like a reality show or Survivor or something like that, where they gave them missions.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point they had...
Well, you got to move the story forward.
They had to add a narrative, but it was clever the way they did it, where like they brought in traitors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And they had to figure out if they were traitors or raiders. And so they had to figure out if they trusted the guy and opened the gate of their compound and let him in.
Whoa.
He turned out to be legit.
I watched one of them that they got raided and all their food storage was taken.
Shit.
Oh, that's right, because there's one where they did get raided and somebody punched a hole through the back of the warehouse and got at their food. Yeah,
because they went on a scavenge and there's like 3 people left that couldn't do anything by themselves, so they just basically let them take it.
Yeah.
Because these colonies were making like primitive makeshift weapons. Like they made a flamethrower, and like these actors who were the raiders were getting like attacked, like legit attacked.
Jesus.
It was a really good show.
Yeah.
Really
would that be like on Netflix or Hulu or like
I originally
we could check if it's still on Netflix.
It's not on Netflix anymore. I originally watched it. They have a new show called Colony, and it's not the same thing.
Right.
Damn.
But it was very good.
That sounds
I can't remember what it
fascinating.
originated off of. Was it?
It was like
A&E
Learning
or
Channel, I think.
History or something.
Sure,
Discovery.
sure.
Something.
Yeah,
like
I think
that.
it was like it was from the Discovery family of networks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll have to find that.
It was
That sounds really
amazing.
cool.
So definitely look that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there along that same vein, because there was one series that I watched called Kids Incorporated, I think, or Kids USA, or I don't know, but basically
Kid Nation.
Kid Nation. Thank you. So basically,
I'm like an
There's
encyclopedia
an
of
extra
TV shows,
syllable
apparently.
there.
you are. Yeah, it was basically they brought all these kids together. The age range was from 7 was the youngest, and I think 12 was the oldest. And they put them all together in like this pioneer type colony, and they were like, we want to see what it would be like if kids ran the world. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And like the first day they got no instruction, and the kids actually kind of like, okay, like we'll make dinner, like these, like do you know how to cook, and then like kind of like ask a bunch of questions. There's a few kids there who are the like older ones, like kind of like rallying together and like trying to like get things figured out, and I was like, oh, this is really cool just to see like how they would run things, and it was actually working really well. But then, of course, reality TV producers have to be like, well, we gotta give them stuff to do.
Yeah, and wasn't it controversial?
It was so controversial because, and it was just like, they gave them like all these like tasks and competitions
there
and
was
like
just lots of
monetary
ethical questions about like paying off the parents and then having the kids live through this.
Oh, yeah, that
And,
too.
Yeah.
Plus, and then
Survivor needs
Lawsuits
kids saved.
and all sorts of it wasn't pretty. I remember that it's like one, its ratings failed, but two, the second thing was just like it got super expensive just from a legal and liability and a like bad press standpoint.
Oh,
once it
yeah,
got
yeah.
going.
But the one thing though that I didn't like is that the whole point was that there was no money, like in the first like episode or something like that. Then finally, the adults of course have to step in and move the story forward. Like, okay, now we're gonna have a money system. It's like, no, you a-holes. Like that was the whole point of the experiment, was to see how kids would run things. Would they need to make money? Would they not? How would they work it out?
I can't remember if it's the first or second Freakonomics book, but if you've read either one of those, there's these gibbons or whatever that they studied because their social groups are a lot like humans.
Oh yeah.
And in the laboratory, they introduced a money system that was like, this is worth so many grapes.
Oh.
And they taught the apes that, or the little gibbons that. And eventually, it got to the point that there was like pimping and prostitution and like organized crime and stuff like that. And, like there were like people who were trying to like scam the system or little gibbons that were trying to scam. It got so incredibly complex that the ethicists that monitored the study forced them to stop. And then that ended up being worse because it like totally broke apart their little gibbon society, and they had like a devil of a time getting them to like reform any kind of social groups and stuff afterwards.
Oh my God! How big is a gibbon?
I mean, we're talking like little monkeys. I think I should look. We could do a whole episode about that experiment.
Freakonomics. Oh my God! I'd never heard about that.
And that's only like one chapter in those books are amazing, but that's only like one chapter.
Oh, there's like different like.
Every chapter's a story like
That's
that.
amazing. I need that book.
Like one chapter is this teacher that sits down and is with this administrator in Boston, and he's just like, you cheated on your no child left behind tests. You did really good covering it up, but I'm this professor from Boston. I'm here with the Department of Education. I developed an algorithm that proves that you're cheating.
Yeah.
And that your numbers are not random.
Oh.
This like very complex algorithm to rule out like that clearly these were like a human being filled these in.
Yep.
And I can prove it mathematically, and you're fired. And that's how the chapter 2 begins, is with that whole story about him and this calculus professor that came up with a system so that he could immediately look at test scores and figure out if they were doctored at all or not.
Wow.
Without even knowing the students.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's Freakonomics.
It's Freakonomics.
So this has been Macabre Grimoire shamelessly plugs Freakonomics.
Oh my God, yes. I didn't even introduce that it was chapter 8 at the beginning. It's been so long since we've recorded. Sorry, listeners.
You're fine. I'm sure they'll figure it out from the whole like title on the podcast
Yeah,
and all that.
they got it.
That's a good point.
They're smart.
And what comes after 7 and before 9.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a numerics thing. In
Yes.
Yeah, and
But Aries not good at math.
mysterious lost
Not-
episode.
Yeah. The lost episode. There you go.
There. Yeah.
So,
But
are we good to wrap up?
I think we're gonna wrap it up.
All right.
And if you don't hear from us on Chapter 9, happy Carrington Event.
Yeah, happy Carrington Event, everyone. We'll see you around the barrel fire.
Macabre Grimoire is a production of theSiouxEmpire.com. Learn more at macabregrimoire.com.
Last night in bed